Affinity's free option, Tinder wants your photos, and CoPilot's influencers. This is MacVoices. MacVoices is supported by our Patreon subscribers. Get access to the MacVoices Slack, the MacVoices Discord, MacVoices After Dark, and have your name listed at the end of each episode of MacVoices. Sign up at patreon.com/MacVoices. Jeff, you brought this one to us, and I'm so glad you did.
Oh, crap. Which one did I bring?
This is unusual. This is a YouTube link that I'm pasting in, so it'll be a little bit difficult for people to absorb while we're talking about it. But this is a video done by Cameron Adams, co-founder and chief product officer for Affinity, talking about Affinity going free under Canva. And he makes no bones about it that it is going to be free forever, period.
Mm-hmm.
And if they go back on this, they're in real trouble because they are so enthusiastic about it. So I thought it was a brilliant ad to address some of it. And Jeff, I'll let you give your conclusion about it.
This is a masterclass in how you bag on Adobe incredibly hard without bagging on Adobe, because that's exactly what they're doing. They're calling out the price structure for Creative Cloud subscriptions without ever talking about that directly, and they talk about how the prices continue to go up and up and up, and they're like, yeah, no, there's a better model. And so then they even go on to validate things that we speculated on when we talked about this on MacVoices Live. And one of those things is that they see this, the Affinity Suite, as a gateway to Canva subscriptions, and especially Canva subscriptions at the corporate level. And so, yeah, and that totally makes sense. Give this to everyone, let them use it. Yes, schools, educational institutions do get an incredibly sweet price on Creative Cloud, as do large corporations where they're having to buy seats in bulk. But free is still better than that. So unless you need to use all the tools in Creative Suite, or Creative Cloud, which you're paying for, why would you pay for all of those things? Why not use this tool that is a professional level tool for most people, where you don't have to pay for it? And now we have the public confirmation that you will never have to pay for it, and they intend to continue to update it as a professional app suite or product, excuse me. Because that was one of my concerns, but they're like, no, we're going to continue to update this, and what you don't get with this are the AI features, which come with your Canva subscription. For some people, that will be an issue. Maybe a Canva subscription is enough to take care of that, or maybe they need to stick with Creative Cloud. But regardless, it's like about 2 minutes ish long for this video. And the information they pack in is just super tight. And they nailed it with this. I think they did a fantastic job. And Jeff, it is a big FU to Adobe. That's their intent with this.
Jeff, is it? In a way, it feels like they've taken a page out of Adobe's playbook, an unintentional playbook back when, from the early days of Photoshop. When
Right.
Photoshop was, pirated so freely, and Adobe really didn't do much to stop it, because they wanted that proliferation of users. And then down the road, they started, cranking it up and trying to make their money off of businesses and that kind of thing, and then fight piracy. But but this time, it is being done above board to them. Mm-hmm. So I kind of like it.
So do I. And the other thing Adobe did, along with the model that I guess Netflix adopted, which is, and we're going to look the other way for the pirators for a while. They would bundle Photoshop with everything. They made deals with every company. You buy a scanner, it came with Photoshop. You go to Taco Bell and buy a 6-pack of tacos, it came with Photoshop. Whatever. I mean, everything that you bought,
Yep.
it came with Photoshop.
Yep. Marty?
Yeah, I just loved watching the video that's on this link. I mean, I like it when, I don't want to say it's necessarily the little guy, but someone takes a strong stance. Part of it I think was just a response because everybody's like on social media, and he said this, I doubt it. How is this going to be free? We don't understand this. And so it was sort of an opportunity for him to talk to old users and potential new users to say, no, this is how we're doing it. And frankly, we're hoping that companies will begin to use our product, and they will then buy into being able to use some of the AI functions as they try to take their, what they've developed in Affinity and put it into different sizing and different structure, which is what Canva can do rather easily. And so they'll wind up buying into the Canva product. I'm a paid Canva subscriber because I wanted more tools for what I was using Canva for. So I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm already paying for it. I've already paid for Affinity, but now have downloaded and set up the Affinity apps with that. So for me, as someone who's paying a regular subscription to Canva, I just love this video, and I love the attitude about this video as a user. It makes me feel like he's paying attention.
Barry in the chat room. Well, first he mentions that the Taco Bell bundle that Jeff just talked about was a special party version called Photoshop Fiesta.
Well played, sir.
Well played.
Don't know what Barry's drinking tonight. He did ask a serious. Yeah, good point. Does anyone? But his serious question was though, does anyone know what models Canva is using for their generative AI? I do not.
I don't either.
I don't know.
Yeah, so that'll be something.
They may have their own, but honestly, I don't know.
Yeah. So if anybody knows, drop us an email and we'll talk about it next show. Jeff, at the risk of wearing you out, I'm coming to you for this next one too, because I would like to know what your thoughts are as sort of the resident graphics guy here. That Pantone has a new color generator AI tool. I kind of like the idea that, I can get a color palette that complements itself, assuming that I have faith in the AI, as someone who doesn't have that great an eye for that kind of thing. Good idea, bad idea, just another tool?
To me, it's a very interesting idea. And so they set this up. Everyone, it sounds like I know what I'm talking about with this article. I was just skimming it right before Chuck called it out. So Pantone is making this tool available as a Photoshop plugin. So Affinity supports at least some Photoshop plugins. I'm wondering if this one would work in Affinity, and then you could just roll it in there and do your color palettes that way. There is a whole internet's worth of color theory data out there that no doubt all of these models have scraped. So creating a tool that uses AI to generate color palettes for you based on the parameters you give it, where you just type in, hey, this is what we're doing, and this is the vibe we're going for, and this is the market we'll be releasing the product. That's what I'm visualizing someone doing. I need 5 colors, and or I need 3 colors, whatever it is. And then it gives you your Pantones. And if it's me, I would even go so far as to say, these are the mediums where these colors are going to be reproduced. I need to have color accuracy or consistency as best as possible between print, between online for websites, and video for commercials. So give me my 5 colors. And then it spits out a palette for you. I mean, that sounds really interesting to me. And I could see something like this not replacing the process, although it will in some cases, replacing the process of humans saying, these are the colors that represent our brand. But this can be a really great starting point for getting to the point where you have decided what colors are going to represent your brand. Or maybe you have one core color that represents your brand and you need to have several other colors to go with it. Okay, great. Let this pick those other colors for you. And if you like them, great. And if not, I'm assuming you can tell it, that's great, but this is more the feel that I'm going for. And then it generates a new set of colors to go with your base. This to me seems like a reasonable use for AI in the creative production process. So I'm looking forward to seeing if I can install it in Affinity and try it out.
Yeah, thanks. Anyone else? Anyone else looking at color palettes or anything? Okay. Marty gave us the information. He found it. Canva AI uses a combination of in-house models, third-party AI models from partners like OpenAI and Google, and technology from its acquisition of Leonardo.ai. So there you go. Sounds like a lot of the best of all worlds.
They're diversifying their AI portfolio.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, Chuck, need to go back to the Pantone thing. I just found a statement in here that says I was wrong about at least part of what they're doing to collect or to generate these palettes. So from the article, while Pantone trained the model using Microsoft's tech stack, they only used their own data. We have not gone to quote. We have not gone to third-party sources for this, end quote. And then continuing on the quote, it was really important to us that the palettes that we generate are truly informed and based on our own data, end quote. Okay, now I'm even more interested in seeing how this performs because the data that Pantone has collected over the decades about color relationships and what's working for different use cases, different companies. They have some incredibly useful and deep proprietary information that they can work from. So the color palettes that they're going to be able to generate, especially since it's going to reference actual Pantone colors, this suddenly became more compelling to me.
And of course, for those who don't know, I think we mentioned this last time, Canva, Guy Kawasaki was an evangelist or is an evangelist for Canva. And so that's sort of the Apple connection there. But it just feels like Canva's trying to do a lot of things right and have a very early Apple kind of attitude of democratizing this kind of thing, these tools, and in encouraging the creative process with the tools. So I don't know. I'm rooting for them. Let's see. We have a few minutes left. Well, first of all, in an update from the chat, apparently Webb is home and he's drinking something called a Martini. The question has been raised, what's in a Martini? And Webb says he doesn't remember, but it's shaken and not stirred and makes him funnier. So
Nice.
I thought it was important to include that.
That's fantastic.
So last week, I believe we talked about Tinder wanting to scan your face to make sure that it identified you. Now they're thinking that it's a really great idea to use their AI and get into your camera roll so they get to know you better.
Oh my God.
What could go wrong?
I'm speechless.
Yeah, who's doing field work on this team? Is anybody?
Oh, thanks.
Maybe they went to Meta for
Yeah.
ideas.
Wow.
And
Terrible.
I guess if you're desperate enough that you will, give Tinder access to pretty much everything, but there are so many ways
They
this
pretty
could go
much
wrong.
do, Chuck. Know everything.
Well,
If you're going there, it's because you're ready to get.
okay.
Okay,
Sorry.
Marty, you say that, and you actually, in your wonderful, fun way, brought up a serious issue. So you're like, hey, if you're ready to go there, you're ready to give it all up anyhow. That's a really good point because a lot of people, when they go to apps like this, any kind of dating or matching app, it's because they can't find people with similar interests, people that they feel like they can connect with emotionally or physically, and they're desperate to find something to help them connect. So they're going into tools like this with some level of desperation, and if they get a thing that pops up and says, "Hey, if we scan your photo library on your phone, that's
Yeah.
going to tell us a lot about what your interests are, and it's going to make it a lot easier for us to find matches that are more likely to fit for you. Would you like us to do that?" And a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, frackin' A, boom, find me someone that I can connect with, please." And they'll do it.
In Eric's case, it's going to be all birds.
Yeah.
The felty ones or the hairy ones?
Depends on the week.
Depends on the week. But we know the best dates are going to be walking through an aviary and
Right.
picking out their favorite birds.
Okay. I got two more left that I really want to talk about.
You notice Chuck moved away from that before we got into his camera roll.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, Chuck. Did you move on because we gave you validation for whatever your decision was, and I am not passing judgment.
My decision to share or not share, is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to accept that as a serious question. Under no circumstances, for no good reason, but would I ever allow anyone to just have wide open access to my camera roll? And I would encourage no one else to ever do so either. I mean, if you want to create a fake, if you want to create a fake camera roll and populate it that way, good for you. Go for it. But to just hand them access to, I'm sure you guys have the same thing, literally thousands of photos. No.
Yeah, but why would you care? Why would you, in the intent in going on Tinder? Well, maybe I've just answered my own question. Create a fake personality unless you're catfishing and you're trying to pull some people in. So,
well, Marty, if your real personality hasn't worked for all this time, you need a new one.
Yeah,
Obviously.
well, that probably
Can't
explains
argue
it.
with that.
Yeah. And okay, so since we're treating this now as a serious conversation, I don't know that it's necessarily a fake personality, but it would more be that just like in any dating situation, you would want to put your best foot forward. And sometimes that can be exaggerated.
It's not your foot you're putting forward.
Eric,
I got Eric.
Yeah, you got Eric.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There. I'm sorry, Eric. I opened that right up for him.
Yeah. Slow one right over the middle of the plate.
Yeah. Yeah. Dave knows how I'm going to feel about this next one, but now Microsoft is using influencers to try to promote Copilot. They've tried everything else. And now
Ready.
they're trying to use influencers.
Hi, Justine's going to be jumping on this quick.
Now,
She's
Chuck,
doing
will you sit
Microsoft.
there and sigh and shake your head? This is standard business operating procedure.
It is.
This to me doesn't say we're desperate to get people to use our product. It says Microsoft's marketing team knows that that to get better visibility and more adoption, they need to get influencers talking about their products so that the influencers' followers go try them out. That's just a basic business thing.
Jeff, I guess if it was anybody but Microsoft, it wouldn't bother me as much. And I say that in all seriousness, because I think of Microsoft as a pretty darn savvy business. I mean, whether I like them or not is another matter, but they're pretty savvy business people. And so you may have an excellent point, but it also feels like if your product is that good, you don't need to be out there hiring influencers. Influencers will pick it up and run with it automatically, as will think what's happened to ChatGPT. They didn't hire any influencers that I'm aware of. And that doesn't mean I'm right. So if somebody knows of one, please correct me. But ChatGPT was the one that took all of it by itself.
Well, ChatGPT ended up with influencers in different ways. And for all I know, they are paying some influencers. But also the thing with, if our product's good enough, we don't need to pay the influencers. Well, I mean, ultimately, yes, you do, because that's the business model. So sometimes it's the company approaches the influencer and says, hey, how many zeros on the check to feature us as just part of your thing? Other times it's the influencer calling the company and saying, hey, I've been using your product and people really like it. And I can tell that my audience is getting on board. You want me to keep talking about it? Here's how much it costs. And then the companies are like, and here's your check.
Brian?
I was looking at this article and it made me think about how when you're watching an influencer, it's kind of making an emotional connection of a product or service that you might be interested in, and how strong that connection could be if you really are invested in that individual or care about their opinion, and you see them as a source of, obviously influence, being an influencer, and for something that's, generally not an emotional decision of, which particular AI model you might decide to use. It could be quite powerful.
Marty?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of influencers personally. I don't know why they rise to that level of influence, I guess. I don't know. I just don't get it. But to me, this is just changing the marketing scheme. I think Jeff said that at the beginning. George Clooney was selling coffee for a while, still is. And we see him on commercials on streaming services. And it's just a different way. If I have a sense or an affiliation with George Clooney, I might want to check out the coffee. But these are folks who have attracted a group of people that listen to what they have to say. And I think Microsoft, and frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if this starts popping up in a lot of different ways. Not just Microsoft. It's just Microsoft is the subject of this article, and I'm sure it will be happening or has happened with other services or other things. That's why they're influencers. They're trying to influence people to do stuff and buy stuff, and that's what they get paid to do. So I just see it as a different way of capturing an ad market.
Yeah. Dave, you bring up Mr. Beast, and I agree with you that whether I agree or not, whether any of us agree or not, he has a huge amount of influence.
Yep.
To Marty's comment, though, what I want to know is, do you feel that that an influencer is just a glorified endorser, or is an endorser and an influencer, are they two different things?
I mean, I name any of the ones that are influencers. Marquez Brownlee is another one. I mean, but he's technology neutral, even though he does like Apple. But you see him talking about cars. You see him talking about other products beyond Apple, and he's very fair on his reviews of things. And Mr. Beast, on the other hand, yeah, he's all over the place, but he's got, like I said, 90 million subscribers of his YouTube channel, and makes some pretty serious amounts of money for doing it too. But he has that influence because people are interested in hearing what he has to say. And I think that's what a lot of influencers do when it comes to that. There are just so many of them out there these days. You just can't avoid it anymore. You really can't.
I guess I've always just looked at the influencers and feel like they are glorified late night salespeople on the infomercials. That's what they do, is they are there just to sell, as opposed to, Marty, your comment about George Clooney. I feel that's more like an endorsement, as opposed to an endorser or endorsement, as opposed to an influence or influencer. So maybe I'm splitting hairs. Maybe I'm just too old school. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry.
it's a paid endorsement. I mean, he's getting paid to do that. He's not doing it because he necessarily loves the product. We don't know that. And so, yeah.
I need to correct myself. He has 450 million subscribers.
Wow.
Mr. Beast.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Chuck, influencers aren't necessarily about being professional endorsers, but that can be a big part of their revenue generation model. These influencers became who they are because of whatever message they've been delivering, and like Marquez Brown, his whole thing is about, here's all these interesting technology things. Let's dive into them and talk about them. And then that has led to a lot of checks coming his way. iJustine, another person we know. I just dropped you a link, Hollywood Reporter's list of the top influencers for 2025, and it's an interesting list of people. So we're talking about people that have an online presence as an influencer, and it's interesting who's here. Some of them are just people who are personalities, and others are people that have had some of their message that they're delivering, and their following has exploded, and so now here they are.
Jeff, you said in our private chat that you'd been to an influencer conference.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious. I mean, tell us what it's like before I start characterizing things.
No, I kind of want to know what your idea of a conference like that is without having any additional info. But no, anyhow, it's like going to any other conference for a specialized interest, which I guess is basically any conference. So there's going to be an expo floor. There's going to be all the sessions. There's going to be the meet and greet things and after hours things. So in many ways, it was no different than other conferences that I've gone to. What was different was the content, and so I was there and able to go to many of the sessions, and I was going to them because I was just genuinely interested in what types of information they're talking about, and a lot of it is, well, here's the business model that you're in. Here's how you address your own publicity. Here's how you do your accounting. Here's how you do your promotion to companies that you are hoping will sponsor you. And like anything you would expect at another business conference where you are covering topics related to that business specifically. But it was also very interesting there were some people who were there because they had their online presence had escalated to a point where they're like, crap, I have to do something. And then other people were there because they're like, I want to get into this and I want to make a lot of money as an influencer. How do I do that? And then there are people who were in between, just like, yeah, I'm doing this and I'm getting sponsorships and I'm getting these companies approaching me. How do I address this so that I don't get screwed over? They don't get screwed over. The right amount of money is happening. So, but yeah, lots of interesting personalities.
Oh yeah, I bet. I mean, just by the very nature of aspiring to something like that would have to be. So, I have another question for Jeff, but I'm going to save it for after dark, just because we're already running over time, and I don't want
I can't wait.
Hold anybody to anything. So, thank you guys. We didn't get through everything tonight. We got through a lot of it though, and again, I hope, as usual, I hope we made people think and maybe laugh a little bit too. Well, when you have somebody with a woodpecker behind him, that just adds to the comedic value. Brian Flanigan-Arthurs, where can folks find you? And thank you for being here.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me. Best place to reach me is on my website, brian8944.com.
Excellent. Excellent.
Thank you.
Marty Jencius, one of the men in black. Where can folks find you?
You can find me at Jencius at Jencius at mastodon.social, or also the same name at Blue Sky. And Monday nights with Eric and Dave on Vision Profiles. We did a show I just released this morning with the title, Eric Chill Hangs at the Apple Store. He's got a great story in about his trip to the Apple Store in it. And then, Tuesday night with you, Chuck, thank you for having me here. It's fun. It's great to be around these folks and you ask great questions. Thursday nights with Dave on In Touch with iOS. And then all the other projects I'm involved in and the podcast you can find at the podtalk.net website.
Thank you, Marty. Always great to have you. David Ginsburg, thank you very much for being here and celebrating your post-birthday with us. Where can folks find you?
Well, you can find me at In Touch with iOS, intouchwithios.com, my YouTube channel, youtube.com/intouchwithios. I'm on Vision Profiles on Monday nights with Eric and Marty. We have such a blast talking about Vision Pro here on Tuesdays. We record In Touch with iOS on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the YouTube channel. I'm also, one note, I'm going to be speaking at the Silicon Valley Apple Users Group on Monday, November 17th, talking about iOS 26. And on social media, you can find me on Dave G65 on Blue Sky, and Mastodon's basically where I hang out. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Dave. Thank you. Eric Bolden, I'm really looking forward to the picture of that pterodactyl-sized woodpecker. But until you get it, where can folks find you?
Out in the woods waiting every day. I can be found on Mastodon at EA Bolden at mas.to. And throughout the week, Mondays on Vision Profiles, covering Vision OS fun and excitement. Tuesdays, of course, here on MacVoices. And Thursdays on In Touch with iOS, kind of rounding out the rest of the OS story at the end of the week.
Great. Thank you, Eric. Last but absolutely not least, Jeff Gamet, thank you for being here. Where can folks find you?
Chuck, if you had forgotten to ask me that and then said, oh, no, I already hit you for that, at this point in the day, I would have believed you. But okay, social media, J Gamet everywhere, where I'm clearly not an influencer. Active mostly on Mastodon, PixelFed, and Blue Sky. And then for shows here on your show on Tuesdays, MacVoices Live, on Dave's In Touch with iOS on Thursdays, for the British Tech Network, The Big Show and The Mac Show, Brian Chaffin and I, we do The Context Machine, and Patrice Brendamore and I do Retro Rewatch.
Great. Thank you so much. Folks, this is Mac Voices Live. I'm Chuck Joyner. Every Tuesday night, we do this at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'd love to have you join us in the chat room. Barry was in there tonight. Let's see who else was. Go to Fair. Webb was there tonight because he couldn't be here in person. Rich was there. We just have a lot of fun. And it's always interesting to have the feedback come back from them, from the chat room, because they're usually a lot more reasonable than we all are. Until next time, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.